Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today, actually, I'm kind of excited to try this new piece of software out. The folks at IK Multimedia, literally just a couple hours ago, if that, I noticed an email in my inbox, released the new Amplitube 5. And this has been a pretty anticipated piece of software. I actually have been using Amplitube 4 for a long time. I mean, most people who watch my channel know me for using Line 6 Helix, HX Stomp, Pod Go, Helix Native. And that is my main go-to, but I have had Amplitube 4 for a long time. Something I really loved about Amplitube 4 was its cab room and the ability to move microphones around and choose different mics and move them on and off axis, which is something I really liked and made it very tweakable to really fine-tune the sound. Well, when I read about Amplitube 5 coming out, I was really excited because the folks at IK Multimedia have apparently reworked their whole cab room, adding many more impulse responses in here and a really interesting way of moving things around and having the speakers interact and whatnot. And we'll take a look at that in just a second. So really excited. I have spent literally 5 minutes with this just to make sure I knew where certain controls were and that I was getting sound out of it. So Amplitube 5 can be used standalone or it can be used within a DAW. I have using it with Cubase 11 today simply because I want to record the audio so I can give you the high quality audio along with this video. So let's do this. Let's jump over into Cubase and take a look at it. So here is the layout. Really attractive user interface on this. Much nicer than I think Amplitube 4 was. I didn't think Amplitube 4 was bad, but this is really much nicer. What I do want to do with you though is let's go over to the IK Multimedia website really quick and just take a look at what's new so that I make sure that I describe it to you properly. So here we are over at the Amplitube 5 IK Multimedia website and under the What's New section. So we see here they talk about their new cabinet section with VIR technology, which they call their volumetric impulse response. Really interesting stuff. It says Amplitube 5 premieres a re-engineered cabinet section with all new DSP. IK's new volumetric impulse response uses 600 IRs per speaker, 1200 IRs for a 2-speaker cab, and 2400 IRs for a 4-speaker cab, capturing a massive 3D array of mic placement options plus all the interactions between the speaker's cabinet and floor for completely true-to-life sound. So that's really interesting. They actually, when you're using a 4-speaker cab, depending on where you move the microphone, it starts as it would in the real world. That microphone starts picking up the other speakers as well. So it all interacts very nice. Amplitude's movable microphones now truly shine with an easy-to-use grid that lets you snap to a precise IR point or seamlessly blend between multiple measurements. So this is a very cool interface that I saw in some sort of intro demo videos, and I was very intrigued about this, so I can't wait to try this out. It says, best of all, we've remeasured over 100 cabinets in Amplitube 5, refreshing every single cabinet for a massive 143,000 impulse responses in all. How did we do it? Well, we created a custom-made, fully automated robotic measurement system. This lets us recapture and analyze every cabinet in Amplitube 5 Max with ultra-consistent millimeter accuracy using a range of microphones for up to 600 measurements per speaker. So that's incredible. The neat thing about this, yeah, it sounds like a lot, 143,000 IRs, but it's not like having to go through a list of these. We're working as if we would in the real world, grabbing a microphone and moving it around and being able to snap it to grid points or freely move it. Really neat stuff. The other thing is we can now also import our own IR. So if you have an IR that you really love, you can import it and use it right within Amplitube 5. As I mentioned, a new graphical user interface, really nice. Freely configurable chain. This is really interesting. We can split this into 3 different signal paths or 2 or 1, however we want to use it. Very flexible signal path. So that's really nice stuff. The new mixer, and it looks really good, is very easy to use. It's going to allow us to mix different microphones, room mics, effects, and so on and so forth. And some other new models included, and there's some really nice ones here. Silverplate 50, which is based off the PRS Archon 50. Miniplex 20, which is a model of the Friedman Pink Taco PT20. New York B750, based on an Aguilar DB750, plus a New York 410, based on an Aguilar DB410. German 34, which is one I'm kind of excited about, based on the Bogner Ecstasy 3534, and the V Handcraft 4, based on the Diesel VH4. a bunch of rack effects, and a couple different rooms added too, bathroom and subway. Pretty interesting stuff. Remastered their classic gear, gave it a new look, and they say optimize internal gain structure and superior power amp speaker interaction. Give it a little more realistic sound and feel to it. And they've redesigned the custom shop. Okay, and actually down here it says your guitar's golden channel, Axe.io. So what you're hearing me today, and I just did a video earlier today about the IK Multimedia Axe.io, and that's what I'm using, channel 1. I'm going to keep all the settings at Z-tone all the way over to sharp and it on the pure setting, just so we get a nice, straight, clean DI. So now we can come back over to Amplitube 5 and we see here what we were just looking at over on the Amplitube website. So here's our interface. We have an ability to click right into Custom Shop over here if we want to add different gear. They've redesigned Custom Shop, really, really nice stuff. We have our different collections here if we own these. They don't all come with Amplitube. We can obviously add more if we want. Or just go with the type of amps. And we see a little lock on some of them, meaning I don't own those. All the ones that I do own come up as unlocked. So I have a few extras that I have purchased years ago, such as the Fender 2 package, which is really nice, and a few others, the Slash, JCM Slash, which I really like as well. Plus, what else do I have down here? The Z-Rec, I believe, is one I had. But it also has all the ones that are included with it, and some of these new ones I was just talking about that we're going to try out in just a moment. So when this loads up, it comes up with this Brit 8000, which was available in Amplitube 4 as well. Now the one thing with Amplitube is that I have always found, sometimes when the stock settings come up, people plug in, play it, go, ooh, I don't like that, and they walk away from it. And I've heard a lot of sort of negative comments toward Amplitube, and I go, yeah, but did you actually try tweaking? And it's so tweakable, and if you can't get a good sound at Amplitube, you aren't trying, or you don't know how to get it, but it is in there if you know how. And hopefully today we'll be able to take away some of that, those uncertainties. Okay, so we have our panel up here, which is going to show us whatever we are editing as being active. So down in this box down here, we see our amp, we see our cabinet, we see a mixer, a speaker. As we click through these things, look, we're gonna have a tuner that we can use. We can use that to tune up. We can jump right over to our amp and choose. Once we're at the amp, we can choose which amp model we would like by just hitting the, we see here in this little panel here, it says Brit 8000. I can go down here, go to high gain amps, crunch amps, and the ones that I own are going to be here available to me. I can go to create different split paths to get different cabinets. So I could choose my different cabinets here or just go with one cabinet. Once we choose our cab, we see our room here, which we can come over here and choose different rooms depending on the sound we want and the style of reverb that we want as well. So I'm gonna just come over here to kind of a hall, or let's go to hall for now. I can also go down to my mixer panel, blend between the two microphones that were on my speaker cab and whatnot, and blend in more of the room reverb, blend in more of my DI, bus, whatever we want here. We can really play around with this, pan different microphones to different sides to get more of a stereo effect. So very flexible stuff here, very, very nice. One other thing we can do is we can also split our paths as such. We can have just one path, dual amps. We could do 3 amps for kind of a wet, dry, wet. We could have 2 totally separate paths and then blend them together. I'm just focusing here. I mean, we could do a 6-hour video on all the features, but I want to focus here just more on the sounds and the possibilities of what can be done with this right out of the box and get it sounding good. So this is what comes up with sort of these stock settings of Brit 8000 into this cab. I think I changed the room here, but we'll see how this sounds anyways. Nothing wrong with that. We could come in here and, you know, pull the master down, bring the preamp up. Get a little bit more drive. How high can we get? You know, if we wanted to crank this all the way up, we want to make sure we don't clip. Now you could take something like that and say, okay, that's not a bad starting point. I could play around with my treble and bass controls. But I was kind of liking where it was. Let's leave it there, but let's see how else we can tweak our sound now. If I go over to the cab section, this is where it gets really interesting. I can pick different cabs. This is coming up with the 412 Brit 8000 that pairs up with that, but I could switch through any cab I want. Let's go to a 412 closed 25C. Back to our 412 Brit 8000. Go to the 412 Brit Silver. I mean, you could even pair this up with different things like a basement. For some different interesting sounds. Very nice stuff though. I'm really liking that. Let's just go back to our Brit 8000 though. Let's say there's still something you don't like about that. Well, now this is where we can get into really finicky parts of tweaking this. I could take this cabinet, but I could decide that I'm going to start changing the speakers out. I can choose any speaker, and I could put any other one I want in there. There's the Brit 80, but if I wanted to switch that one speaker to, let's say, Brit Alnico G. So we can actually customize the cabinets per speaker if we want. I could put 4 different speakers in from this collection of speakers that come with it or that I've purchased, right? So, and it comes with a nice collection of those. So amazing that we can actually do that. Now, if I go back to mic here, I could also decide, you know, let's say I wanted to keep the speakers the way they were. I could say, what if I don't want an SM57? What if I wanted more of a 87 condenser? Or I could go through a variety of different, a tube mic. So pretty interesting stuff. That may or may not be what we want, right? I can go back and say, oh, what if I wanted a 421 dynamic instead? Back to the 57. So we can see this makes a huge difference in the sound, but on top of that, I could say, well, maybe I do want the 57. I'm going to take this over here, and I'm a huge fan of ribbon mics. I've always loved the Royer 121. I'm going to switch the second mic as a Royer 121. Really nice, kind of nasty sound. Now we can also take these microphones and change them to being at a 45-degree angle. So if I did that on both of those. Subtle, but I really like what that did to the sound. Nice, nice stuff. So let's change that again. Now, I can actually now click on each microphone and take, say, the 57, go down to this VIR Tech button, click that, and now we can move this around. And if you notice here, they have a little magnet. We can click that to particular spots so we could maybe go back and recreate the sound that we, or position that we had. We can pull it back so many inches and move it anywhere on or off axis, and really interesting stuff. If I go to my mixer and just mute the 121 for now, and let's deal with the 57 and hear what moving it around does. Now, if you notice what's happened here, down here this speaker has lit up, and that means that this mic is now picking up some of that speaker. So we're getting an interaction between the speakers now. So pretty interesting stuff, and we can see how much of a difference moving this mic around makes. So I could take something like that, move it over to the edge, darkens it up a bit if I go closer to the cone. Very abrasive. So let's keep that there. Let's get out of that. We'll choose the R121 ribbon, go back over here, and I'm going to take this now and I'm going to pull it back a little bit, and I think we have to go to our, actually, and unmute that, and I'll mute the SM57 so I can hear what this is doing. We go back over there. Really interesting stuff when we move this around. Now we're interacting with this speaker a little bit. But let's take that and move it right in around here, let's say. And then we'll go back to our mixer, and now we'll bring in the SM57 and the 121. But I'm going to bring the 57 down a little bit. In fact, I'm going to bring it all the way out and I'm just going to start to roll it in a little bit. So really nice stuff. Now I could also pan these out, you know, left and right if I wanted to, get more of a stereo effect. Really, really nice stuff, but we'll roll those back to the center. I don't know, I think I can double click up here as well. There might be shortcuts that I don't even know about here, as it's pretty new to this, but there we go. So those are back to the center. Okay, now what about the room mic? Well, if we go back to our speaker cab and come out of the VR Tech, we see these two room mics here. Well, I can come in here and I can widen them, I can bring them closer together, and you'll notice if I do that and go back to my mixer, it has my width at 0. I could also control that from here, right? And those are widened out now. Let's hear the difference when we go wide versus narrow. Now, right now the room mics aren't too loud, so let's turn this up so we get some really nice reverb here. Let's widen those out. Really nice stuff. Of course, we would have to be listening and recording in stereo to really hear a difference with that. But then we also have different rooms that we can use. So let's do this. Let's crank that reverb up a fair amount. Subway. Wow, interesting stuff. And bathroom, this would be kind of cool. So we can get some really interesting sounds going on here. It's very subtle and dead, like the amp closet, to a little more in between. Mid-sized studio to a large studio. Right, really nice stuff on that. We can choose between different mics there as well. Right now I'm using condenser 87 to 414s. Condenser 12 to a pair of 170s. And we'll go back to the 87s on the large studio. I was kind of liking this mid studio. Let's stick with that for now. I'm going to try putting these mics at 45 again. Really nice stuff out of this. Now I'll bring that reverb back a little bit. So very, very nice stuff and super, super flexible. I could click this, add a second cabinet if I so desire, with different microphones. Really, I don't want to dive through all of these options, but let's look at some of the other amplifiers we have. So some of the ones I was kind of excited about here were going to be like this Mini Plex 20, which is the model of the Friedman Pink Taco, right? So let's see what happens here. Not sure what happened with the cab here. Okay, so we're on a 412 Brit 9000. Now I believe that my particular settings on my microphones didn't change. No, they didn't. That's awesome. So I still have the same settings there. So let's see what this amp model can do with that same sort of room reverb and microphones I chose. Nice stuff right out of the gate there. Let's crank the gain up on that a bit. Master on full. Really nice stuff. If anybody's wondering, I'm playing my Vigier GV Wood Hollow with Amber Pickups, an amazing pickup company out of Germany. Nice stuff. All right. Probably get a lot more bottom out of that. If we so desired, top. And again, keep in mind, we can go swap out cabs, we can swap out the speakers in the cabs, we can swap out microphones on the room, different rooms, all the stuff we've already gone through. So really, really incredible stuff. Let's check out something else that I was really excited about here, which was the German 34. So this is apparently the Bogner Ecstasy amp. Now the other thing we can do that I haven't talked about is we can go grab different effects and effects pedals as well. So let's see what I have here. There's a real wide range of effects pedals that we can put in here. Let's see, where do we have? Let's maybe grab some delay, if I can find delay somewhere here. There's some delay. Let's grab a replica, and I'm going to put that, let's say, I don't know, let's go in between the amp and the cab. And now we see the little picture of it come up here, and I can hit edit, And there's my settings for my delay. Take the repeats down, echo up, brown it up a bit. Nice. Now I could also take that and just slide that after the cab as well. It's a pretty dark sounding delay. That one cuts a little more. All right, go back to the amp now, and we could say, well, that's kind of dark sounding. I could crank some treble up on that, pull the bass back a bit. I've also got different channels on here. Nice stuff. So I can go between splitting the coils on this as well to get those single coil type sounds. Back to the bridge humbucker. Go to the blue channel. Really nice stuff out of here. One of my favorite amp models that came in Amplitube 4 actually was the Red Pig, which was the model of a Marshall Major amp, I believe it was. You know, and again, we can go over to the cab. It changed to the proper cab with that with my same miking setup. I kind of like that it keeps, once you get your mics where you want, it kind of keeps it there for you. This one sounded really cool. Really nice breakup on that. And the other amps that I really liked were ones from the Fender 2 collection here as well. The Z-Rec is another amp that I picked up. I don't think that's included with it. I think I purchased this at some point. that's my first impressions and sort of a first look at Amplitube 5. I'm blown away by it. One really cool thing is, and again, I'm a Line 6 Helix guy. That's not going to change. I love the workflow. I love the tones. I find it very easy to tweak and maneuver. I love the fact that I can move between Helix Native and Line 6 Helix and so on and so forth. But one really interesting thing for even folks who are using other modelers that can import IRs, we could use the amazing VIR cab section on this to create almost unlimited IRs that we could then grab an impulse response of, so that we could load it into our modeler, and we could kind of tweak a sound in here as far as the speaker cabinet and microphone goes, and then use it for our own personal use within our Line 6 Helix or Axe Effects or what have you. So that's a really kind of cool feature about that I think could get a lot of use to getting some interesting tones out as well. So I'm really, really liking this Amplitube 5. Hats off to the folks at IK Multimedia for doing a fabulous job. Again, I was plugged into the IK Multimedia Axe IO for all the tones in here, and what you were hearing was through the Vigier GV Wood hollow guitar with amber pickups. And I hope you liked some of the sounds, and even if you don't like the sounds I was getting, I hope I was able to show how you could tweak those and how many possibilities we have at our disposal here within Amplitube 5. So it's probably worth giving it a good go, giving it a good look. And you know, even if you are using a different modeling software or modeler, I'm the type of person who loves to have different tools at their disposal. Maybe you are a Line 6 Helix guy like I am, but you know, the Helix folks haven't got around yet to doing a Marshall Major or a Z-Rec or a Bogner Ecstasy. Maybe they will, maybe they never will, but if that's the tone you wanted, then there's nothing wrong with flipping over to our other tool, such as Amplitube 5, who does have that. And it's all about getting the sounds we want, whether in the studio, live, or wherever we're using them. So I hope that was insightful, and I hope it was enjoyable. I really thank you guys for staying with me on this. Please like the video, share it with anybody who you think would get some use out of it, and subscribe to the channel and hit the little bell notification to get notified when I put new content out. I have a lot more coming, and I will be back very soon. Thank you guys again for tuning in, and ciao for now.